Hello folks, and welcome to the Car Auto Care channel. That's auto care you can trust. Today we're launching a video series called How to Buy a Used Car. This is going to be part one of a several part series. So there's really a lot more that goes into buying a used car than what some people might think. A lot of people have suggested things like taking it to a mechanic or certain things to do on your test drive, to check for component damage or things like that. And those are certainly true, but it actually starts a long time before you ever get to the dealership. It actually starts where you're at right now, in front of your computer, and that is research. Okay, so that is what part one is entitled, research, research, research. And that's because when you get to the dealership, it's too late to try and find details about, recalls a car may have or problems that model of car might have or so on. As you can see on the screen there, you've got the Badger, and he's your used car salesman. And his job is to get you emotional. His job is to get you to fall in love with the car so that you want to buy right now. But remember, your job is to make a wise decision that is financially good for you and that gets you a car that you like or even love. But you don't want to fall in love with a car that turns out to be a lemon and then you're stuck with something that you hate and you're still paying money for it. So that's what today is going to be about, is doing the research that helps you get ready to face the Badger so that you can make a wise decision and buy a car that you're going to both love and that's good for you financially. Okay, so the first thing you need to decide is, what are you looking for in a vehicle? Are you looking for a silver convertible? Okay, or do you need a third row SUV because you're hauling kids and their friends around or that kind of thing? Is it a work vehicle or a commuting vehicle? You're just really looking for something that's fuel efficient. So you need to decide what your initial criteria are. Maybe it's just a price level. I've got about $5,000-$6,000 to spend, and I want a car that's under that price range. So kind of decide what your first criteria are, and then from there, the next thing that I would suggest is go ahead and get on some of the car shopping sites and start looking for things that fit in those criteria. So today we're going to start out at Car Gurus, okay, and we're going to plug in some of the filters that what we're looking for. So click that off there. So let's say that we decided we're looking for a third row SUV. When we do our search initially, we don't want to put in too many filters, okay? So you don't want to go down and click something on, they may have 10 or 15 different filters on the side of the screen. You don't want to necessarily pick something on all of those, because what you end up doing is you get too narrow of a field and you don't see all the options that are out there. So you may end up missing a good car or not even be aware of something that's out there that might really fit your needs. So at this point, we want to kind of leave it broad so that we've got a lot to look at and we can really determine what's going to be best for us. So we're not going to go make and model in this case. We know that we're looking for a certain style, so we're going to come up here as body style. It's already on SUV and crossover, so we're going to go ahead and we'll click on that. We're going to come down here. Let's say that our max price in this case is we'll go $20,000. And this, like I said, this is, if you've got a price range and you're looking to spend 10, something like that, if you're looking for a certain payment, what you can actually do is just go to Google and put in car loan calculator, and you can type in an interest rate and an amount of, say, $10,000, and it'll tell you what the payments are going to be roughly. So anyways, in this case, we're going to go $20,000. We're going to use our zip code here, 50171. Click search, and it's going to pull us up with this initial big list of things here. So the next thing what we want to do is go ahead and select a radius. How far are we willing to go? Well, where I'm at, 100 miles, that gets me to all the big Iowa cities that are going to be close by that I could search. So that's plenty of range. That's Des Moines, Iowa City, Coralville, Waterloo, Cedar Rapids. All of those are going to be in there. So let's say that, on years, I'm not going to worry about that. I think the price is going to filter that out for me. But let's say mileage is something important to me. I don't want to get something with too many miles, so I'm going to go a max mileage of 80,000. I'm not going to worry about transmission because that kind of is going to filter itself. We'll come down here and look at some of our other filters. Now, in Iowa, one that might be really important to you is all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. So we'll click on that, all-wheel and four-wheel drive. And then we'll just come down here. I think we'll skip over, engine and all that kind of stuff. But we do want to come back here. Let's see. Seating capacity. So if you got a third row, that's going to be 7 or 8 people typically, maybe 9. But in this case, let's just click on 7 and 8. It didn't give us a real specific on third row that we saw. So we'll click on those two there, and that's going to give us that seating capacity that we're really looking for. So make sure that our filters are all on, which they are. So let's come over here and just take a look at what we've got. Now, here it's got best deals first, and we've got an Infinity. That's just outside of our mileage range, but that's in that area. Here we've got that one's awfully high mileage. Those are sponsored ones. So a lot of times I just skip right past those. If you find one like this case, a Nissan Rogue, that may go in there. But remember, these sponsored ones, as you can see, that one's above mileage. That one's above mileage. I don't believe the Rogue is third row, so I usually just go down past those. Now here we are again. We've got ones that are out of the mileage. So I'm going to come up here. Let's go look at some of our options. Best deals, worst deals, high price, lowest mileage. Let's start with lowest mileage. Get past our sponsored, and here's one, 15,000 miles, Nissan Rogue. Okay, let's just take a look at it. Alright, so this one is a 4-cylinder engine. And see here, this isn't really a seating capacity that's going to work for us. So, okay. So here we've got a couple of ones that we've got. Here's a sponsored to fair deal. This is an Armada. I know this one fits the criteria. I know the Armada is a large vehicle, plenty of room inside. 54,000 miles, listed at $1,850. Authorized Nissan dealer. So let's just take a look at that one. And let's just look at some of the data on this particular vehicle. Okay, so first right off, here's the vehicle history. No title issues, so it's not a salvage title. Does have one accident reported. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad car, but it's definitely something to be aware of. In this case, we're going to go ahead and look at it and see what we find here. About 55,000 miles, 5-speed. V8 flex fuel, so it's going to have lots of power. It's got sunroof, navigation system, alloy wheels. We'll go down here. Got all the good stuff there. But we'll come back up. Let's take a look at these pictures. We'll just, we'll go ahead and scroll through some of these. It's hard to tell from there what condition the tires are in, but so far, we're not seeing a huge sign of a major accident issues. A little bit of issue with the seat right in here, so something to be aware of. But everything's leather. It's looking pretty clean. There's your DVD system. Not seeing the interior all torn up, so it looks like it's been fairly well cared for. Now, those are the kind of things that you want to look at. If everything's stained, everything's torn or ripped, all those kinds of things give you a clue about the overall what to expect from this vehicle. And this one right here, it's looking pretty clean, so this might be a great option. So we'll keep that one in the back of our head. Sometimes they've got a, one where you can put it on your favorites or whatever. We're going to go ahead and just for now, we remembered that one. Let's take a look at this Pathfinder, 14,000, 72,000 miles, 4-wheel drive. Let's look. What do we got? Okay, there's our fuel economy listed. We will double check that later. CVT transmission, 3.5 liter V6, traction control, ABS, dual airbags, dual side impact, front anti-roll bar. Let's look at our pictures here. What we want to look is, and a lot of times you can't see on the pictures anyways, but you want to look if there's anything obvious that stands out of, an issue. You may have had a crash, you may have had some big damage. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy it. It just means, that may be something that you want to negotiate price on. Or, if you're wanting something that is perfectly clean, then, you may just want to skip that vehicle. But at this point, we're really more comparing not a specific vehicle, but kind of the price range, what we can get for our price. So here's one. This is $14,000. You can look. Our seats here, a little bit worn and that kind of thing. So we're going to look at a few different cars and just see, the different conditions and stuff. And then once we know a little bit more about, as you can see here, this thing is pretty well loaded. It's got a lot of equipment. All right, so that's another one. This one they say is, almost $1,400 below market value. $258, it's about $100 a month less, than the previous one. Looks like the dealer rating is good. So those are all things that we want to keep in mind. We're going to go to another website. Now on this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're looking at used cars. We're going to go by body style, go by SUV. Here's another one. That's a Nissan. That's a different one. Now we can see this one here. It's a little bit older than the first one we looked at. It's a 2014, 82,000 miles, and it's listed at $14,500. Looks like a recent price drop. So again, I kind of already am familiar with the Armadas and what they're going for, but now I've seen another one. I'm getting a price range, a newer one versus an older one, mileage, and how much a difference of $4,000 or $5,000 is going to get me. So that's one of the things that you want to look at. Is $2,000. How many years newer am I going to get for that? Or how many fewer miles am I going to get if I, spend that additional few $1,000s? And, you keep those things in mind. Now, here's another one. So this is a different brand, which is always good. We want to compare, the options. This one's right up at the max, right up at our top of our price range. But it's a GMC Acadia. I've heard good things about them, let's say. Got a good rating on here, so let's take a look at it and see what we get. Now this one does say oil changes for life. If you live in the area where this dealer's at, that might be worthwhile. If you live further away, that may not matter to you. 12-month bumper to bumper, good tire tread, GPS navigation, heated seats. That's nice in Iowa. Third row, 7-passenger, park assist, rear view camera. So we're getting quite a bit here. 15 and 22 on the fuel mileage, 3.6, 62,000 miles, 6-speed automatic. So come down here, remote start. Love that in Iowa. Premium sound, backup camera. We're back up here on this one. It's right at the $20,000 range. So again, we're looking at about $370 or so. So let's take a look at some of our pictures. Okay, there's our heated seats. Very clean, leather interior. I can see down here, it's all power adjust. Look at these wheels. One of the things I try to look at is, are your wheels getting road rashed, that sort of thing. Sometimes you can't pick that up. Sometimes you can, but take a look at that. Is it banged up back here? And really, looks like pretty clean car. Steering wheel's not torn up. Radio screen, buttons are in nice condition. It's got automatic HVAC controls. Come down here, we'll look at our interiors. Second row is clean. Floors, a lot of times if you've had a vehicle that's had flood damage, that kind of thing, you'll see that in the floors or the seats or the big spills from the kids, and that kind of stuff. So all things to look at in your photos. On this one, now I can see, on this, that looks like a good clean tread. Pretty new tire, so that's something I hopefully shouldn't have to worry about on that particular vehicle. So there's an Explorer Sport, 67,000 miles. Let's take a look at that one. 4-door Sport, loaded, leather, sunroof, nav, CD player, heated seats, power seats, third row seating. So this is definitely something that fits our criteria. Remote start, premium sound, Bluetooth. This one sounds good. It's in that price range that we want. We'll go ahead and look through our pictures. Good condition on the seats there. Front's not torn up. Again, not great photography, but steering wheel looks pretty clean. Didn't give us a lot of great pictures, so this is one, it could be that they're not showing us something, they're hiding something in the back, or they may just not have taken a lot of great photos. So later on we may want to email them and ask for more pictures, but we see we're in the 350 360 range. So now we've looked at a couple different cars that we've liked. What I'm going to do is enter everything in as though this is my car. That's going to give me the pricing that I need to see. So we hit make. This is a Ford Sport Utility 4-door XLT Limited Sport SUV 4-door. Now this one, I don't know, it's interesting. They got a Sport Low and a Sport High. However, if we came over here, we could look and we saw this one had leather seats, remote start, premium sound. Obviously, this is going to be the high one. So we click on that. You can also go over here to more information. Click on that and it's going to tell you some of the options. But we know this is the one, so we click on that. We'll hit next. Now there's a couple of options. You can go price with standard equipment. The other thing you can do is select your options. For now, we're just wanting to get a baseline, but it's worthwhile to come through here and click on some of these and just go through. I think in this case we're going to just hit standard equipment. Now if we were deciding this is the car we're going to go after, we'd probably go through specifically the list of equipment that they show. But for now, we've got this one. It's the dark gray. Come down here. Very good to excellent. Now this is very important when you're selling your car, trading your car in, as well as when you're buying the car. A lot of people want to say my car is in excellent condition, but if we look here, we can say basically that's new off the showroom floor. 3% of cars they value are in excellent condition. So odds are 97% your car is not excellent and the car you're going to look at is not excellent. Now, this one did look very clean. We couldn't see the back inside of it, but everything that we did see looked very good. We're going to go very good. That'll give us some values there. Now, trade-in range on this, anywhere between $18,000 and $20,000. It's saying $19,000 is pretty average. Private party value of this car. So it's saying the private party value of this car is up to $23,000. So that's interesting. This vehicle is for sale for that same trade-in value. So that tells me something interesting. Let's take a look at the Carfax. And there we go. First and most important thing right there. So that vehicle is a salvage title vehicle. This car has been wrecked and totaled, and it is now salvage title. So that's why we research. So, if you just went to that dealer and loved the car and bought it, you might find out it was salvage when you went to finance it, because most finance companies will make note of that. A lot of banks will not, they may not go ahead and finance it. But if you went and got financing through the dealership and so forth, they may have never really said anything about that until you're signing the papers and you end up with a salvage vehicle. When you go to trade that vehicle in, you're going to get hit pretty hard on that. It's just not worth what a non-salvage vehicle is. So right there, that proves out the whole point of why we go ahead and do our research, because now we know this vehicle is way out of range based on what we were seeing. If it wasn't salvaged, this car should have been, in the $24,000-$25,000 range. And so that's a good catch right there. I think that's worthwhile of taking the time, that we found. So we know an Explorer with those options is out of our price range with that kind of mileage. Now what we're going to do, we used KBB. I'll show you another one that I like to use is NADA. Same thing here. Now we're going to go and look by manufacturer. So a couple things here. What I like about this one is it gives you a little review of the vehicle overall. Towing capacity 7,000 pounds, 2 and 4-wheel drive, CVT transmission. Goes through that, gives you some changes that they've made over the vehicle, that model year, and so forth. Pathfinder S, 4-wheel drive. That's a pretty base model, it looks like. And usually, obviously, the S, the SL, the more letters you add and so forth, that's upping the trim levels, so you're going to have more standard options. You'll go from cloth to leather, from manual seats to power seats, that kind of thing. That Nissan had for mileage 72,700. We're just going to put 73,000 in. So we'll go 73,000. Now, again, in this case, we're just going to do standard equipment. All right, what I like about this is it gives me trade-ins and retail values. So the base price of this car is $7,000. It's low mileage. That adds a little bit, gives it a rough trade-in value of $8,100. Now we come up here, clean trade-in value would be about $10,000, and clean retail is $13,300. Now, if it was certified pre-owned, that would add another $1,000. That means it's been inspected by a manufacturer, mechanic, a dealership, and it's been certified to pass all of Nissan's checks. That would make it $14,500. Now, this vehicle we're looking at, this is not certified pre-owned. It's listed at $14,000. So there's something there, option-wise, that we probably missed. Our value is saying in the $13,000 range. So we're pretty close there. We could go back and do specifics, but at this point, again, it's we're doing more of a broad search. What I want to do after I've looked up a couple vehicles and their values and seeing sort of what range that we're in, another site that I want to check here is going to be Edmunds. And the reason is Edmunds has a lot of reviews. It's always good to get your information from several sources. So, I will typically check each car at KBB, check each car at NADA, and then again, I'm going to go and I want to do car reviews here at Edmunds. And the reason is everyone is going to have a little bit different information. So we're going to stick with our Nissan here. Let's look at some of our pros and cons. So premium interior design, ample passenger room, good fuel economy, user-friendly, noisy and sluggish engine, unrefined hybrid powertrain if you got that. Competitors offers beat handling and cargo capacity. So some things that, ups and downs on it. Now, here's an expert review. This is written by somebody in the industry, but now I've got customer reviews. And so I want to see right here. Do not buy his Pathfinder. Just got past 60,000 miles of warranty. Transmission went bad. Car is less than 2 years old. So, some of these you got to take with a grain of salt, but it is worthwhile to look. Let's just look at our 1-star reviews. So there's transmission went bad. Here's a 3-star. Never buy another Nissan. You can find the issues that people are having, and if they're having, if you see several reviews of the same issue, that might be something you want to look at. But I do like to look some of these. Yeah, so here's a lot of negative reviews. Let's see if we can find the positive ones. The other thing you could do here is if you're wanting to look at maintenance of parts, comfort, appearance, you can go through all these. We're not going to go through all of them. But you can click on certain bill. Here's reliability and manufacturer quality, and that's going to pull up. There's some 5-star reviews based on that. There's 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. So there's a lot of positive reviews. Let's go, again, go all ratings based on reliability and manufacturer quality, and what do we get? There's the 1-star. So again, I'm not going to go through all of these for you, but it doesn't hurt to at least read a few of these and see what people have to say. You got to remember, it's just a personal opinion based on their experience with one vehicle, but sometimes you do get good information. If everybody's complaining about the comfort, then maybe there is an issue with the comfort. If everybody says comfort is great, but the engine had problems, again, that's something to be wary of. So we've looked at KBB, NADA, we've done Edmunds. Another thing I like to check is we're going to go to fueleconomy.gov, and the reason is that a lot of these vehicles have multiple engine options, which obviously engine and transmission options are going to give you a much different fuel economy. And so if one option is a 4-cylinder and another option is a 6-cylinder and it's available in 2- and 4-wheel drive, you're going to have a wide variety there. So sometimes the dealer lists fuel economy for the 4-cylinder 2-wheel drive, and you're looking at a 6-cylinder all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. And so we're going to go a little range here on the years just to see what it was like for a couple years. But so you got to be careful of that. Double check what the dealer's saying. I'm not saying the dealer's out there trying to trick you, but they have been known to make mistakes. So here we put in a 2014 to a 2016. And that gives us a range so that we'll be able to see. So here's exactly what we're talking about. There's a 2.5 4-cylinder. It's 25 and 28, 26 combined. But come down here, 3.5 6-cylinder. That one is 20 and 27 with a 23. So it's pretty significantly different. Now, it does talk about different gear ratios and so forth, but the main thing is that you can see over time, that based on the years, there's not a whole lot of difference. But the 6-cylinder versus the 4-cylinder, it's pretty significant. If you drive in the city a lot, you're going to lose quite a bit of mileage. If most of your driving is country driving, you're going to, you'll probably be very similar overall. So that's one. Now I can take and do comparisons on that. There's a lot of different things I can do on here. Here's ones with it gives you, talks about the supercharger, etc. So again, real important to double check what the dealership is doing right there. Now, last thing I'm going to do is let's go to Google. And we've looked a little bit at the Pathfinder, a couple sites. We looked at the Ford. We've got the Acadia. I don't remember what year that one was. And then we looked at the Armada. And I think that was a 2015. But we'll just stick with the Pathfinder here. Let's go to 2014 Pathfinder issues. So sometimes right here, just typing in issues tells me certain things that may be coming up, because here's liftgate and transmission are popping up. So let's just go, we'll click on problems and see what that says. Shutter coming from the CVT as it accelerates. So there's something we saw in our reviews. Now those couple reviews that we looked at, there's Edmunds, comes back to that. So consumer reports, let's click on that. That's a good site to go to. 9 recalls for this vehicle. What owners say 4,900 miles, needed a new transmission. Transmission failed at 2,000. So there's quite a bit of issues that we're seeing with that CVT. And personally, I've never been a big fan of a CVT transmission, at least not in any kind of a larger or heavier vehicle, any kind of a SUV. But so we know, maybe we want to be careful with that Pathfinder on the transmission wise. But let's just type this in again. So we got liftgate issues. Let's see what that says. So here's some videos if I wanted to watch those. And then we go into some forums. So these are ways you can. Now every car is going to have issues. Every car will have some issues. Doesn't mean they're all bad cars, but it's things that you can know about when you're going in, and you may want to check that. Hey, is this has a recall? Has that recall been done on this car? Or the case of the Ford Explorer, we found that's a salvage title. Well, let's say there's 5 recalls on that vehicle. with a lift gate and a programming on a module, etc. Well, if those weren't done before it became a salvage title, guess what? You'll have to pay for those because the dealer will not do recalls on a salvage title vehicle. So, that'd be something if you wanted to talk to them. If you were going to get a salvage title vehicle, hey, the dealer can do the recall, but they're going to charge you for it because it's no longer covered. Once that vehicle is salvaged, that's considered a dead vehicle by the dealer. They're going to charge you to do that type of work on it at that point. So, tell your dealer, hey, I need these recalls aren't done. I want them done. Make that a negotiation point. Find out what it would cost at the dealer to get them done. That sort of thing. And so the dealer may not even do them, but in most cases they would do them, but they're going to probably charge you for the parts and so on. So those are things that you need to be aware of. So now in this example here, we found a couple vehicles that we really like. Now what I would do at this point would be I would specifically go back. Let's say I've decided not to get a Pathfinder because of all the issues that I saw. And I'm going to look at Ford Explorers and GMC Acadias. So we're going to clear everything here. Let's go back. We're just going to go right up here to cars for sale and start this over. Ford Explorer actually is in there already, under 20,000 within 100,000 miles. So that's going to, or within 100 miles of where we're at. And that's going to pull up all the Explorer options. Now I'm going to be real specific with what I'm looking for. And let's see if we can add Acadia. We're looking for professional grade. I'm not going to do trim, but come up here. We'll put 100,000 miles. And now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to put in some of the things that are very specific that I want now. It must have a backup camera. I do need heated seats. Let's see, keyless start. I don't care about that, but remote start would be pretty nice. There's only 15 of those listing, so we'll hit that. They've all got the third row. I'm not going to worry about that, but let's say I really want a tow hitch. Tow hitch can be added, so I'm going to wait on that one. Colors I'm not too worried about, but drivetrain. Ooh, so here's where we're going to really limit it down. I've got a 4-wheel drive, and I've got all-wheel drive. This is going to give me a total of about 5 options, it looks like. I've got a 2011, $15,000, 94,000 miles. There's another one, actually identical, the same one. Here's one of 2015, 84,000 miles, $20,000. It's right at the max there, but acceptable. So here's one, 87,000 miles, and then we're down here, 15 with 97. So let's look at these two. Okay, a couple things that I noticed right off. First off, okay, Schottenkirk and Fort Madison, they're getting 4.5 reviews. And I'm going to look at those, but right now I just want to make sure this vehicle actually fits what I need. 3.6 liter, 6-speed auto, basics, here we go, remote start, Bluetooth, premium sound, backup camera, stability control, third row, heated seats, leather seats, third row seats. So it's really got what I need. Before I go too much farther right here, see if it'll show us a Carfax. No accidents, no damage, 2 previous owners, 5 service records. Doesn't mean it hasn't been serviced more than that. It just means that's all they've got records of. This one owned it for 9 months. It was a rental, so originally this vehicle probably came from Enterprise or something. I don't have an issue with that. Some people do. If you don't want a car that's a rental car, this would be the point you go to the next one. The next person, this was actual personal use, owned it for 3.5 years, lived in Illinois. So Michigan and Illinois both in the Rust Belt. I'm going to definitely want to inspect, look underneath, see what kind of, condition the underneath the car is. But this is a good Carfax report. You got everything on here. There's not showing any crashes. And we keep scrolling down. I mean, it looks great. So, that's definitely a vehicle that to me fits in where I would want to see it. It's not salvaged. There's no big issues there. So one of the things I want to do is I do want to look at dealer reviews. So I'm going to go over here to look at dealer reviews. Kirk, Fort Madison, amazing dealer, not satisfied with repairs, satisfied with purchase and hospitality. So they didn't care for the service department, but they liked the dealer. Here's another 5-star, 5-star. Let's see if we can just pick out. What I like to do a lot of times is pick out, I want to pick out specific reviews. Let's do some lowest rated just to see what those people had to say. Here's one, bought a used truck, had an issue with test driving, got it purchased, and realized it wasn't, let's see, full review. It wasn't right, tire, I told them it was bad, still in the truck. So there's an issue there. There's something to watch for. So if I've got buying a used vehicle that's got issues, am I going to be able to make sure that this is, everything is really fixed before I purchase it? And that's one thing I recommend with any dealer. If you make an agreement, you want it redetailed or you want the tires changed before you sign and buy, verify, is what they said they did, is it done? So anyways, there we've got some reviews to look at. So I've kind of got pretty typical dealership stuff. Another thing you could do at this point would be, get on Google, get on Yelp, just type in that name, look up their Google reviews, see what they get there. But before we do that, I think you can handle that at this point. But I am going to go back here to NADA and look up this particular vehicle we were at. Now, this one is an SLT1, all-wheel drive. You can put in the exact number, but now I'm going to select some options here. Let's go through, and here's our values. Clean retail of this vehicle is $20,000. Mileage. They're taking quite a big hit on the mileage. That's apparently pretty high for most of those vehicles, so we're taking a $1,000 hit. Total base price, $19,000. It's got the luggage rack. Now, one thing I could do here just to verify sort of we're in the right range, I'm going to go ahead and go back a page, and we'll just put in, select the standard equipment, and again, we're right there. So for an SLT1, we should be looking at a price for that vehicle about $19,600 if it's in clean retail value. From the pictures, it appears to be, they're listing it at $19,800. They're right there in the zone. I mean, a couple $100, that is right there in the zone. So when I go to look at this vehicle, a couple of the things that I'm going to want to do to verify and make sure it's really worth that is, what condition are the tires? Stains in the seats, all those kinds of things. We're not going to get, that'll be another video, but I'm looking here, and actually I can go back and see. One thing I noticed right here is one thing that looked good in the pictures. It's got auto, all that, that's good. But here, this right here, that is tow haul mode. That tells me that this particular vehicle does have the tow package. So that's probably going to make up our couple $100. Select our options here. It's got the luggage roof, and it's got towing and camping package. I know that. Another thing I can see is it does have heated seats. So I can go through that. Let's see, maybe we'll see a rear entertainment system when we're going through here. Does not have it, but it does have the premium sound. And now we're at $20,000. So really, they've got their vehicle priced exactly where it should be. So at this point, now it would be time to go ahead and contact this dealer, and that's going to be in a part 2. We'll talk about taking your next steps. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, put those in the comments down below. Like the video if this was helpful. Subscribe, share the video if you know somebody that's looking to buy a car.